What's up, YouTube? Back with another video, back with another banger, back with another reaction, man. Let's get it. Hey man, we're gonna do a deep dive on Dolly Parton and see what her life about. We got an interview of her talking about her life, childhood, church, and all that, and God. Okay. So we're gonna see what it's talking about, man. So if y'all want us to do more deep dives on celebrities, artists we reacted to, and just comment it down below who else you want us to do a deep dive on. So I appreciate the fan love support y'all been showing. Please like, subscribe if y'all new, man.
Hey, get that merch, don't forget. Make sure you follow that TikTok.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
let's see what Dolly Parton got now.
I'm going to say this, and I believe it. You'd be hard-pressed to find an icon more beloved than our first guest. Listen to the music. Oh. And she brought us a Christmas present. It's a little movie all put together in a nice package called Coat of Many Colors. It's not all glossy, though, because it really delves into her childhood, her growing up and raising in Tennessee.
She went from Tennessee?
That's right below us.
This whole journey started in Locust Ridge, Tennessee.
Yeah, well, we lived back in an area called Locust Ridge, Pittman Center, Caton's Chapel. There's not all these little areas where we lived, but in Locust Ridge was where we centered the movie.
Sure.
And we're a little church and, house. And mostly I wanted to honor my father and mother. So it's as much and more about them than it actually.
Bro, she sounds so country, like
so country to the T.
Like to the T,
like that's just
if that ain't country, that's country.
Yeah, that's
country.
Yeah, that's Tennessee for you, man.
It is me, but it just shows their relationship and where people like me actually come from. I wanted people to know who I am through the people that I love.
But you outlived their dreams. Well, what do you credit that success to? That beating the odds to, coming from the upbringing you had?
Well, you just never know what's going to happen to you. I grew up in a musical family. All my mother's people were very musical, all played instruments, and mostly in the churches, sang at funerals, sang at... Well, that was like the dressiest thing I ever owned in my life. My Aunt Dorothy Joe had actually bought that little outfit, and that was the only decent thing we had. But anyway, I think that I just always had a very outgoing personality, and I just saw that music was a way out, and I just wasn't afraid of people. I loved everybody. So I thought, I'm going to make a career out of this. And my Uncle Bill Owens, one of my mother's brothers, used to take me around because he just thought I was special. And he'd take me around to sing on local radio and TV shows.
You were a little bitty.
Yeah, I started when I was about 10, singing on radio and
TV.
10?
Well, when you say a way out, how did you
know
what out was?
Well, you really didn't, but we used to listen to the Grand Ole Opry. My daddy loved country music. He loved Minnie Pearl and Roy Acuff. And when we lived way back in the mountains, we just had a battery radio. And I remember when we was little, they'd say, run out there and pour some water on that ground wire. And we'd have to pour water on the ground wire in order for that battery, to kind of pull that in. But anyway, we just knew it through the music, through the listening to the Grand Ole Opry. We kind of whistle in and out. But I just always, wanted to sing, and of course different people knew of other shows around our area where you could go sing, and I used to sing at the county fair and do contests and little things like that. But I just always wanted to, I wasn't trying to leave my family. I always brought them with me in my heart and in my mind, and wrote so many things about my home. But I just wanted to go. I just wanted to travel, get out.
Was something about you that you knew something else was out there?
I just felt it.
Are your siblings musical as well?
Very.
Do you sing as a big family?
Yes, we do, and we sing good together. I've done several specials through the year that really featured a lot of my family. Some of my family work at Dollywood in shows up there. My brother Andy, my sister Cassie, a lot of nieces, nephews, cousins, and aunts and uncles, and my sister Stella is actually in the movie Coat of Many Colors. She plays the old lady that brings the scraps to Mama. She's a church lady, the gossip. And so she got to play a grown-up part, but also there was a little Stella, also the little brothers and sisters. So that was a real treat for us. She enjoyed that.
It says so much about you, because I'm going to play a clip from this movie, and there's so many people that I guess you have admired through the years and that have admired you specifically, but this is an indication in this clip where we find out, even at a young age, how much you believed in yourself when you revealed who you really looked up to as a celebrity. Let's take a look.
So what? What was
Hey, we
it
gotta
at
watch
that
that
young
movie.
age
Gotta watch that
to
movie.
have
We got
that
to.
kind of foresight that you knew that this was your destiny?
Well, I just lived in fantasies and dreams. I was just dreaming it and hoping it as much as anything. But you never really know. You're only, like I say, when you're old enough to live, you're old enough to die. It's like you just don't know how you're going to turn out. It was just a dream. I just always wanted it. I just wanted to be that. So that was just what I was hoping, would happen. But I guess God has His way of doing things, and I've just always had a strong faith. Felt like God meant for me to do something so I could, if nothing else, help my family.
Yeah, well, you took it to a whole different level in what you've done with all
Well-
your foundations and everything that you've accomplished. Dollywood, and movies, films.
Hollywood. I like
Well,
that
I've
name.
had a lot
Yeah,
of
you
good
gotta-
help, a lot of people,
Okay.
that have helped me along the way. I can't take credit for all that, and I certainly always say I'm glad to give God the credit as long as I get the cash.
She ain't lying
So
about
that's
that.
I like that.
Who really, obviously you looked inward, you saw your own light, and you ignited that, but who along the way, other musicians inspired you, or that you finally turned to look to and said, I see what they're doing, I want to be more of that?
Well, in the early days, people have asked me a lot who inspired me musically, and it was my people, my aunts and uncles and my mom. My mother was a great singer. She played instruments, all of my family, so that was really my first love of music was through them. But then through the Grand Ole Opry, those great people like Roy Acuff, and certainly two women that inspired me a lot in the early days was Rose Maddox. It was a group called the Maddox Brothers and Rose.
Oh.
And, oh yeah, well, where'd you get that? I
Fine
don't think anybody would even know.
Fine
what it was.
stuff here.
And then
He
of
said,
course
"Where'd you
Kitty
get that?"
Wells, she was like the first female that really kind of stepped out, and when she had Honky Tonk, it wasn't God who made Honky Tonk Angels. She used to do a lot of answer songs to big songs that were out at the time. So they were great inspirations to me, and knowing that women could do it. But what I loved about Rose was a showman. They wore rhinestones back before any of us did. She and her brothers, and they would dress up, and they were real show people. They really would do an act, little moves and stuff on stage.
Is that what inspired you?
Yeah, that
to do?
helped me a lot. Yeah, that helped a lot.
Well, let's go to, let's fast forward now. Now it's time to tell this story, which you feel now is the time is right. You had to look at yourself as a child, then go out and find somebody to step into those shoes. What was that journey like?
Well, that was amazing because she was the main one, because we really auditioned tons of kids for my brothers and sisters, and Jennifer Nettles, who did a fantastic job playing my mother, and Ricky Schroeder was a perfect daddy, and of course Joe McCraney played my grandpa Jake, and they were very important people in this movie. But of course the main one was the little Dolly character. Where do we find her? And we went through hundreds of kids, and they kept saying, oh, this was good, we got to take that. I said, no, God's going to send her. I'm just know that there's the right one. So when we finally see, this is really me, and that's
her.
really her. But when that little
She
thing
played
showed
her
up,
at
I
9.
said, that's it, that's her, we gotta have her. And man, she is just incredible. She is just going to go far. She made me look really good.
Wow, she really was so
I
surprised.
know, she really thought that she'd just been over this over and over and over. They brought her back, and I kept saying, that's the one we want. And so she just thought she was having to go through it again. And when I walked in, and she thought, oh, if it's enough of this already, either do something or get off the pot. So anyway, when I announced it, she cried, actually. It was the sweetest
She
thing.
bit herself too.
Yeah, I know. She tried not to scream, I guess, but it was precious. But she did a wonderful job.
And here I thought giving away a Ford Edge
Yeah.
was a big surprise. That's a big moment.
I
But we
know.
have many more moments we want to chat with you about, because we're going to jump into this movie and delve into a little bit about the core. Your grandfather was a preacher, right?
Yes, he was. My mom's
Yeah.
dad.
And yet I heard your daddy didn't believe in prayer.
Well, my daddy believed in God. My mother's people were Pentecostal, Holy Rollers, they called
Speak in
it. My
tongues?
daddy's people were Baptist, so I say I'm Baptist-costal. But my daddy
Baptist-costal.
just didn't believe in all that. He just didn't believe in, just pressuring somebody to, all that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't he didn't have faith. He just didn't go in for all that. He didn't like somebody telling him he had to do this, had to be saved. But my dad was a wonderful man. In fact, it shows that in the movie, where at the end he finally does go up and to the altar call, and but it's almost like it was like my grandpa Jake and Mama never would stop, trying to get him in the church. But he finally came around because I was singing a song in the church and Daddy came in.
Well, there's a clip from the movie I want to show because it really shows the joy, this large family, 12 children.
Well, 12 in all, but there wasn't 12 when the movie. I was only 9, so there was only 8 of us then.
At the time.
And
Well, here's a clip.
All right, so something
Yeah,
did
we gotta
happen
watch
to
that.
test your
I got
faith.
to.
There was a
Yes,
tragedy that
yes,
happened. Can you explain what happened?
Well, actually, there were so many of us that each older one had to take care of the others. Mom was just having one baby. There's only 18 months, 2 years difference in our ages. So as the kids started multiplying, Mom would say, well, this one's going to be your baby. You kind of had to. And so, that just meant you had to, kind of help a little extra, get up and maybe walk the baby, fix the bottle, or help Mama a little more.
Did you get to say a naming that?
Well, and the naming and all that. Well, the one that Mama lost was going to be my baby, and I was so excited. And anyway, it was just it just crushed me, and it crushed my mom too, just losing a child.
Sure.
But anyway, that little baby died, the one that was supposed to be mine, and that's one of the big parts of the.
You named the baby too, Larry. You named baby Larry. You made.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I alluded to, because this movie isn't just a good old-fashioned glossy story. It is about those tough times for you. That had a big impact on your family.
It did, and it had a big impact on Mom and Daddy's relationship because Mama went into a deep depression, and it was really like a real hard time, and like Daddy having trouble like communicating, and Mom just kind of drifting away from all of us. And my sister Willadine, who was like the oldest child, she kind of was like a second mom, and it was very hard on a 15-year-old trying to keep all that together.
Well, you went into a depression yourself because you stopped singing.
I know, but it was really hard for me, like that grief of a child, as I say in the movie, is like a terrible thing when you don't understand death, especially when it's something that's I can't talk a lot about.
Yeah.
I was only 9. I was 9 at the time.
9 years old at that point.
But it was a really hard thing for me, as for all of us. And it was hard for Daddy too. But Mama and I had the hardest time with it because it was supposed to be my baby, and Mama, of course, just losing a child at all, and just being, Lord only knows, she never had vitamins. She never had, 6 of us were born at home.
Yeah.
And it was like we were just either my grandma or my aunts would help with the births, and it was so like that in the movie. But anyway, it was a touching
How did your family
time.
recover from this?
Well, faith, God, and my grandpa Jake, and my sorry, I'm kind of a little emotional. That's all right. I usually keep a rag when I talk about Dakota many colors.
We're family here. We're family here.
I just get emotional about talking about some of that. But my mother, my daddy, though, my daddy, although he was the one that was not as faith-based, he's the one that actually, my sister Willadine went to my dad and said, Dad, you've got to do something. It's like we've got to do something because Mama ain't sewing and Dolly ain't singing. And those were 2 things that, my Mama was always sewing and I was always singing, so it was like she was saying, so Daddy just kind of pulled it all together, went into Mom and said, you've got to get up, we've got to get on with this, and so it's got a lot of, that emotional stuff in it.
How did your dad finally find his faith?
Well, I think he and Mama had a very deep relationship, and it was really him thinking about not seeing the child again in another world, and my mother, if something happened to her, like that he wouldn't see her again. I think it was just kind of like he just thought, well, I probably need to get myself together, not just for my family, but for the other life, for those that, believe in that. So I think it was more about thinking that he was maybe not going to see Mama again if something happened to her, because she was saying that kind of stuff, that she didn't want to be without him. She didn't, she wanted to meet him in the other, in the hereafter.
What's so lovely about your story is that when you hear stories like this with large families and living up in the mountains or whatever large family you come from, there's some kind of abuse or something that's happening. It doesn't seem that was the case in your family at all. It was all based on love and joy and singing. It's very encouraging, and although you had your trials and tribulations that you had to face, it's such a beautiful story to share with everyone that has such a positive message.
Well, it is, but Mom and Daddy were very good parents, but my daddy, he'd bust our butts if we needed it. It's not like
Both our
push you through
butts.
your movie and you're talking about a certain thing, but, they were no pushovers. I mean, we knew our daddy meant business. We didn't want to mess with that, but they were very good parents. Mama was more lenient, but Daddy, we kind of walked the line because we didn't want to cross that line with him.
Well, you know, it's what strikes me is as we sit here and how many years ago it is over your shoulder that there's still something that you haven't gotten over, and that tells me that, you know, that human condition, we never should get over a loss like that. But in this movie, the title, Coat of Many Colors, has deep, deep meaning. Where did that coat come from? What does that mean?
Well, actually, that little coat, Mama was, as I mentioned, she used to sew all our clothes. We didn't have any money, but we had, you know, Mama, and we had Daddy, and we had somebody say, "What'd you play with if you didn't have toys?" I said, "We played with each other. We just made up things to play. We had stuff to do."
That's what it was.
Back there as part of the woods, but it was the little coat. Mama, actually, I needed a coat. You know, of course, we glorified a few things in the movie to make things roll along, but it was actually a little further down in the year than it was portrayed in the movie because we wanted to get some other things that were important in the movie as well that happened in you know, warmer weather. But the little coat I really needed, and Mama just always made our clothes, and people would give us scraps and bring things around us to give Mama to sew. She'd make quilts and our clothes and resew. So she told me the little story of Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors because she figured people would probably laugh at my coat. And she told the story of Joseph from the Bible. And so that's where it came from. And when I got to school, kids didn't think I looked a lot like Joseph. And I was so proud of my coat. And then I was mad. Oh, yes. They made lots of fun, and it was a whole big deal. And I went home, and I was mad at Mama because I felt like she had lied to me. And so all that kind of stuff is in the movie as well. I thought, you know, she just made that up. But she was telling me that, you know, like in the song it says, one is only poor, only if they choose to be. It's true, we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in that coat of many colors that Mama made for me. So it was like that. You want my snot rag?
All right, well, wow. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that left turn. We're not going to let you out of our house just yet. You're
Okay,
stick around a little bit.
I don't want to go.
By the way, we're giving our home and family viewers a
No, that was nice,
Wow.
man. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was good. You listened to her life and everything.
Yeah, I probably grew up and first of all, we gotta watch a movie because they kept talking about the movie.
Yeah, I didn't even know she had a movie.
Yeah, I ain't either. Coat of Many Colors, definitely gonna watch that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like you know, a little life story.
Yeah,
when
man.
she was growing up, you know, in Tennessee, how her parents was. I didn't know she had what was 12 siblings.
Yeah, they said 12 siblings.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
That's a lot, bro.
And she said she had what 6 of them at home, what 5?
8, I think. 8. Was that 8? Yeah, I think 8.
Yeah.
But hey, that was good, man. I like learn about different people's life and that we listening to. So, you know, that's cool. And if you all want us to do another deep dive on other artists that we react to, just put it down in the comment below.
For sure, man. Let us know what you thought about the video.
Yes,
I
sir.
enjoyed it. We got to listen to some more, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the fan love support y'all been showing. Please like, subscribe if y'all know, man.
Get that merch.
Peace and love.
We out.